I became obsessed. I couldn't watch enough. I needed to know more. Welcome. Man, this has been my obsession since I've been about 8 or 9 years old. I remember taking a trip with my family, driving across the country, looking out of the back of the window of their car, looking at these big trucks drive by, thinking, man, it'd be so cool to ride in one of those. And now, 30 years later, I get to drive one. Now, a childhood me would be going nuts right now, like, oh, wow. Now, adult me would have some questions. See, adult me started a few years later. I think I was probably like a freshman, sophomore in high school. I got a job at a drugstore, and I realized now the limit that I put on myself. I saw the whole world as a drugstore. I figured, you start out, you find somebody to hire you, you get cards, you run a register, maybe you work your way up to being like an assistant manager, a manager, maybe go to college, become a pharmacist, who knows? I mean, it's like I saw every job that I would ever have in my life was in a drugstore. I never let myself dream bigger than a drugstore, and I realized what a limit I put on myself. And so fast forward to August 2021, when I was up at night looking for trucking information, who hires drivers in San Diego, Southern California, truck driver job, and I came across two new terms I had never heard of before. One was owner-operator, and one was load board. Tells you how little I looked into it, the fact that I was a grown person and had no idea that these two words even existed. And for the first time, I saw trucking as, wait a minute, you mean I could buy my own truck and be my own boss and have my own company, as opposed to having a situation like I had been in my whole life of having a boss and a schedule and a dress code and having to ask permission to take time off. It's like, wait a minute, you mean I could call all these shots? And so I found myself staying up at night watching these YouTube trucker guys talking about, and gals, talking about, the ins and outs of being an owner-operator, the positives, the negatives. And I became obsessed. I couldn't watch enough. I needed to know more. I wanted to know, yeah, good. Tell me about the good stuff when you're making, $8, $10, $12,000 a week. That's great. But I also want to know, like, what happens when the truck breaks down, or what happens when the transmission goes out, or what type of numbers are we working with when things aren't good? That's what I focused on. So I put in place a plan. Since August 2021, I've put the majority of my time and talent into getting into where I'm sitting right now. I needed to get a CDL. I had a Class C license at the time, no driving experience whatsoever. I enrolled in CDL school, and I went, attended, graduated, and passed. I got my CDL on October 12th, 2021. And listen, with this whole trucking thing, along the way, I've done a bunch of stuff right. But there have been a few things I've messed up on too, and you can bet I'm going to showcase those. So hopefully you don't make the same mistake I did. I'm in no position to be giving a shout out to anybody, but there's been several YouTube truckers that I've watched, but for me, the best one out there, and if you haven't checked out his stuff, please go check out his stuff, DIY Semi. His information is solid gold. It saved me thousands of dollars on being able to do stuff myself. He breaks it down so simple for you, not having to hire out, weight distance taxes and how to fill out forms properly, basically questions for the new person. Nobody's better than him, in my opinion. Stick around, subscribe, like, hang out a while. We're gonna have some fun with this.